Good afternoon, YouTubers. This is News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa, conservative-leaning podcast that looks into issues of the day. Now, today is October 2nd, 2025. Joining me today is Rags the cat, who won't leave me alone today. This is episode 138, and today we're going to be looking at the UK terror attack, budget blues, Des Moines superintendent gets even better, and an Arizona Republican representative, state representative, just goes way over the top, and there should be some type of reprimand for him, including expulsion, up to and including. So we'll go through that today. We're going to try to keep this kind of short. We'll see. The United Kingdom was hit by a terrorist attack. The focal point of the terror attack happening on Yom Kippur, a Jewish holy day. A synagogue was attacked, leaving 2 people known dead and many others injured. The assailant drove his car into the worshippers, sounds familiar, and then got out of the vehicle and started stabbing people. The terrorist was killed by responding police officers. And this has put the U.S. and other nations on a heightened alert. We've been seeing this. Is this a copycat? Not you, Ragsy. Or is this systemic to the immigration for in the UK, which they've had some major protests in the last couple of weeks over immigration and Muslims, and it seems in the UK, for whatever the reason is, and the same thing in France, the Muslim population isn't trying to assimilate into the culture. They're trying to take over the culture and force the native people to convert or face the consequences. So that is not a problem here in the United States. Yes, it is. Is it the job of a Muslim to convert people? Yes, it is. It is their thing. You could say the same thing about any religion, for the most part. So that's their problem. That's going on over there, and that's not going to get any better. There is a huge divide in England over immigration. And again, this was all in the 90s and 2000, that everyone comes over. Oh, we can't stop them. 2010 and forward just saw an outflowing from Islamic countries, and 95% of those persons were single men, young men. Now, I can understand young men. There's no work there. There's no jobs there. There's no nothing. It kind of can balance out in why. But it's just been rampant. And Europe, the face of Europe has permanently changed from indigenous to foreign. and in our lifetime, and those countries have seen the influx before. I mean, of mass migration. So that's nothing, where this is never happened in the annals of our history. Sure it has. Sure it has. Sure it has. So, but it just seems to be getting a lot more prominent now. All right, you want to get up on my shoulder? I know what you want to do. All right. Talk about that for 6 minutes. The budget failure continues with the Democrats. Day 2. Representative Maxine Waters of California stated when a reporter asked her, "Are Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?" And Water replied, "Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure the health care is available to those who would die but having the help of their government." Okay. Does Representative Waters understand that anyone who is an illegal, no status to be in the United States is not part of our government process for health care? And by her own omission and that of House Minority Leader Jeffries, they admitted that they want our tax dollars to be used to fund health care and other benefit programs of such for illegals. That's a fact. Now they're saying, well, we don't consider people that are here under a certain status that has disappeared. Hasn't been disappeared. They should never have had it to begin with, and it's been revoked. And in their budget proposal, they want all those benefits that were removed from the one big beautiful bill restored, including the Obamacare subsidies on premiums that expire, I think, in December. December. And other legislation that they want restored out of, not going to happen. Just not going to happen, folks. There will be some movement, and it is my belief that there will be a more definitive, a more defined meaning of what the Democrats are asking for or are concerned about under the bill, the proposed budget bill, which only lasts till November 21st or something. I mean, it's just a temporary gap, to fill the temporary gap. But I think what's going to happen is that the Republicans are going to force the Democrats into, well, you write exactly what you want. You're saying now, you're telling us we're not going to do illegals, we're not going to do undocumented, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And we'll put a list of those people that will not be covered by it. And then, we'll talk. And that's going to box the Democrats into a position where they really should not have been. They walked into the trap. They honestly did. Senate Minority Leader Schumer has stated that the Republicans are effing liars on this matter of restoring health care to illegals. But when you read what the Democrats want, it is funding for illegals, period. In one hand, they say, and they show one thing, and they don't show you what's in their other hand behind their back. So let's get them put it to words. Let's write it down so there can be no misunderstanding. They won't do it because they know that when they put it down in words, the American people who are voted for Trump to do exactly what he's doing is going to be, no, you're not getting that. You're not getting that at all. And really, the fight over the government shutdown centers on health care, with Democratic leaders demanding an extension of Biden-era Obamacare subsidies. And, the budget directors say that this will add $350 billion to a deficit in 2026 and through 2035. $350 billion. And that's at today's level. All right? That's at today's level. So you could see why the Republicans, who are trying to get the budget and our debt under control, whereas it's costing us, billions and billions and billions of dollars in interest per day to float these type of deficits. Now I got cat hair all over me. What amazes me is that Waters, chimes in and they allow her. Well, not that they allow her. She's a representative from California. She has a right to say what she wants to say. But boy, and same thing with Warren. Warren stepped into it on a CBS program and had to be corrected. And House Minority Leader Jeffries called for roughly $1.5 trillion in new spending on Obamacare and Medicaid, a proposals that of course, Republicans outright reject. Republicans insist on resolving government funding before debating any tax credit expansion. And of course, President Trump met with congressional leaders Monday in a last-ditch effort to prevent a shutdown, but talks broke down without a deal. On a CNN show, I think, The Arena with Casey Hunt, she asked the question, who holds the key to the shutdown? And Jim Jordan had stated that Schumer. She asked, how long will the shutdown last? How long can it last? And Jordan replied, I have no idea. One person who can answer that question is Chuck Schumer. Ask Chuck Schumer how long it's going to last, because all he's got to do is vote for what he did in the past. He voted for the big, beautiful bill. He pushed it through. And I mean, he was reluctant. He was not crazy about it. He was not a fan of it by any means. But you have AOC and others now are going at, well, you have AOC going after his seat in the Senate. And he knows it. She wants to make a run for the Senate. And so she's pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. She's controlling him. Schumer would have cut, I said this yesterday, Schumer would have cut a deal. Schumer knows how Trump works. Trump knows how Schumer works. They're old buddies. And this is, this is nothing, that couldn't be worked out. So, all right. Kitty, do you want out of here now, or do you want to sit back up here with me? So, I don't know what you're meowing about. You can't have it both ways. Can't have it both ways. The rhetoric, and it is rhetoric by both sides coming out, because, you have the Republicans saying, well, this is going to fund all the illegals. They want everything brought back in. And they said, no, we don't want, we're not talking about undocumented. We're talking about, the people that fell off at TPS and some other protective statuses to go back on, which is about 1.5 million people, maybe more. And no, that's not what they want. That is not what they want. So the other, I'm looking at my kitty over there. She's looking at me and looking at the door, like he's stupid. You shut the door. Now she comes up here with wifey, and she'll sit there. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get up for a second. Just for a second, I'm going to let her out. Can't believe this. I knew that was a mistake letting her up here. You're going down the steps, and I know you can go down the steps on your own. Yes, kitty. All right. I apologize, but Kitty would be sitting here meowing the whole time. So we can't have that. Can't have Kitty crying. That cat is 22 years old in human life. So we cut her a lot of slack. All right. The budget talks are continuing, though. I think they had a meeting today. Don't know where. Probably didn't go anywhere, but the Democrats are in a bad spot because if they can't get what they want, it's going to show a failure that if you knew you couldn't get what you were going to get, why'd you allow everything to be shut down? Because this is only going to last till November 21st, and then, the argument's going to be there again. And all the Democrats have done for the last, 15 weeks, have been crying, Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. Epstein is what America wants. And they could have been working really diligently with Congress to go, let's try to hammer this out, fellas. Let's try to hammer this out. And instead, you now have a government shutdown. And it all points to the Democrats. And there's absolutely no denying that. The Democrats approved the big, beautiful bill. And I mean, they might have been dragged there, kicking and fighting, but they approved it. And if this was their idea of, well, we'll shut them down and we'll get it back another way, man, you have learned nothing about Trump. And, you know, Trump will just keep saying and showing and proving it. This is the Democrats. You have a problem with it, call your Democrats and tell them to get on board. Because if you're being hurt as an American citizen, this is because of the Democrats. And again, if this goes past Friday, believe me, come Monday, layoffs. Layoffs will start happening. And when you're laid off, you don't get your retroactive money if you get called back. You might get your job back. You're laid off. We don't need you. We're not going to pay for it. If your office is shut down because it can't function, well, that's not, to me, that is not your fault. That's the government's fault. And to me, as a worker, I would expect the government to pay. So I have no problem with them paying retroactive money back to people who whose offices are closed, to know nothing that they did. That would be callous not to do that. So I have no problem with that. But in the meantime, they have no money coming in. You know, they can't go down to their store and give them an IOU or a maybe. So, you know, they'll give them their severance, a week's pay, whatever, you know, that they're the shutdown. We're going to pay you up until the day we lay you off. And so long. Maybe Trump will offer some type of buyout deal. Give the people one last chance to take a deal to leave. And if you take the deal to leave, we'll pay your money and out you go. And then, you know, if not, listen, Voight will have no problem telling Trump, cut here, cut here, cut here, cut here. Everything that Doge couldn't do, now they can do. So I don't get, I didn't get why they decided to do what they're going to do, and how they did it, and why they did it. It just didn't make sense to me on, you know, the logic behind it. Didn't make sense. There's just was so many different avenues the Democrats could have taken, but the reality is the Democrats would have to take it from a point of weakness, not a point of strength. they would have to sit there and go, yeah, listen, we can help you cross over the line here. But, over here we need a little massaging, and over here we need a little massaging. And then if the Democrats, if the Republicans would say, nope, it has to be as it's written, then I would say that the Republicans are not dealing in a bipartisan manner. But if they were talking all the way up to this then, and this is where they got to, and the other side is saying, no, we want everything that we lost put back in, well, then you'll have to wait to 2026 to do that and hope you win. But as it stands right now, that doesn't look too good. And you might have to go a little hat in hand here. And they won't. And that's the AOC's and pushing seasoned people who have dealt with this before, who have dealt with Trump, who have dealt with the administration before. These are seasoned people that AOC and her ilk, nope. And Schumer knows we're in a bad place. Now, if he could figure out a way to dump that all on her when it goes sour, then he better have a good plan, because it does not look like that's going to happen. I would like to see this settled. I'd like to see a budget passed to May of next year. So we could take care of other businesses. But I don't think either side would want that, because this is low-hanging fruit for both sides to score points. So you have what they want, you have what the other side wants, and then you have the people like us stuck in the middle. So not a good place to be. Not a good place to be. And I just want to make sure I did go over everything that I have in my pages, because I take time to do this. And just Jim Jordan, who was on the arena with Casey Hunt. Jim Jordan is a representative from Ohio, which I hope is Vance's vice president pick when Vance gets his shot. I like Jim Jordan. I know there's a lot of, Democrats, oh, he's was a kid toucher, or he did something, I mean, just stuff that, the Democrats always throw that out. Democrats always throw that garbage out. All right. I got a half hour on the show there now. 18 on the problems in Europe, and good 15 minutes on the problems with the budget. All right. The Des Moines superintendent arrested by ICE resigns from his job. Ian Roberts, who is now known to have misrepresented his educational credentials and his arrest records, has resigned. Wow, can you believe that? No headlines anywhere saying black man who was a Des Moines school superintendent arrested by ICE is now known as a known criminal. I didn't see that anywhere. Uh, I've seen no apologies. I haven't seen one of these leaders come out and say, "Hey, we were wrong about this guy." Um, how fast the media stopped reporting on this story after the truth was exposed. Nothing about ICE being called racists or Nazis, or no one is safe now in Iowa. Remember the battle cry coming out of these people? No one's going to be safe in Iowa. Well, unless Iowa's all full of criminals and illegals, now I would agree with that. No one's going after those people who defended Roberts and asking them how they feel about the truth and the facts now. No one's doing that. No one's going out, hey, you said this. Now that we're finding all this stuff out, do you still defend this gun-toting, lying criminal? And this is the problem with the Democrats of today. This is the problem. You have a credibility problem. You have the mayor of a major city going, Joanne Chesimard, Black Liberation Army, who was an insurrectionist, who shot and killed a New Jersey state trooper escaped from prison and fled to Cuba. You have the mayor go, she was an important person in the black movement. She was an important person. Rosa Parks was an important person. Martin Luther King was an important person. Even Malcolm X was an important person. And you go all the way back. George Washington Carver. You have plenty of black heroes to go to. And it's all right to even go to black sports players who excel in what they do. But, and even, musicians and rappers and stuff. But not every kid is going to go down that path. Talk about your doctors. Talk about your lawyers. Talk about your policemen. Talk about your electricians, your plumbers. your construction workers, the mom that goes to, every morning at 5:30 a.m. and works at McDonald's. Start pointing to those people. A killer? Really? Really? Yeah. It is a sad commentary where today the blacks don't look back at their own black history. They only look at the points of them being victims. And they keep replaying that over and over and over again. And we're at the point now where we feel that you've been helped as far as we're going to go with you. Now it's time to put on your big boy pants and the girls to put on their big girl dresses and outfits and get moving. And I say this for every person, not just black people, brown people, yellow people, red people, white people. You got to get moving. You got to get doing. This is the same thing with George Floyd. A career criminal, a career drug abuser, a violent man who resisted arrest and died during that process. Now, that's different than what happened in Tennessee, where a bunch of officers got around a guy and kicked him to death. Because, see, that was murder. And those guys should be punished. Because not only did they murder someone, which is, to me, as far as you can go, but these were people that should be trusted and looked up to. And saying that, if I have a problem, if something happens, I can turn to them. If I need help, I could turn to them. Or, even in the sense, if I did something wrong, that their job is to get me to the courts and not be judge, jury, and executioner on the side of a road. So, but when you have the media running to the defense of this guy, not even knowing what the story was, and then they find out this guy was not a good guy. Ian Roberts was not a good guy. And yet you sat there and defended him. You made it racial when it was nothing to do with racial. It had to do with the law. And unacceptable, fellas. Unacceptable. All right. My next tidbit. Republican Arizona State Representative John Gillette GOP lawmaker doubles down on vile death threat against a House Democrat. Republican Arizona State Representative John Gillette stands behind his call to execute Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, Democrat from Washington, after she appeared to post a video about coordinating nonviolent resistance actions that are going to make a difference over the next coming months. Now, I have not seen her video. I did not look to see what she was talking about. But saying that, he calls for her to be executed. He needs to be removed from office. Not censured or not censored or not, slapped on the hand. He needs to be removed. There is no place in our politics for that. Now, if Jayapal wants to have nonviolent resistant actions, which could be protests, could be speeches, that's a fundamental right that we have. And no citizen should have to be worried about being executed for that. I mean, I would put that as far as he made a death threat. I think the FBI should be knocking on this guy's door. And heaven forbid anything happens to her, he should at least be somewhere as an accessory. As I said before, I'm not locked in step with anybody. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And what you're allowed to do, you can. It always comes back to, should you or could you? There's lots of things we can do, but should we do them? They're not legal, but, should we do them? So I have a major problem with John Gillette out of Arizona. A ignorant and dangerous statement made by this individual. Now, I've taken this from a news source. I have not verified it. But I don't think it would be on the news sources that I look at, unless that was a true and accurate representation of what had happened. And that goes from MSNBC all the way up to Fox. I do not look at Breitbart. So, if this is in fact what he had said, yeah, yeah. Now, in this, I don't know, maybe he said, hey, if this is, that's an insurrection and, well, she should be brought up on charges. Well, that's all right. You could say that. Nonviolent resistance, a legal protest is not insurrection. Because if you get down to like what the Democrats called January 6th an insurrection, then I would go as far as then to say that voting out a administration you could label as an insurrection. So, January 6th, I've said it before, that was a riot that got out of control. And the people that trespassed on federal land and property and destroyed, they should be charged as such. There are people, they were looking to hang, the vice. No one was looking to hang the vice president. They were shouting it, and the vice president was very well secured. And even if they hung the vice president, that doesn't change the government. But that was not the case. This was a riot that got out of hand. And we'll look into why it got out of hand, and that's going to be looked at as, even as we speak, it's being looked at. So some things that we're drawing a picture of might not be the picture after all. But we shall see. But this guy coming out and saying that, she should be executed or something. Yeah. No. You don't get a chance to do a mea culpa. I was mad. I was drunk. I was this. I was that. Nope. You're fired. You're gone. You're not dependable. You're not rational. And you shouldn't be sitting in a chair where you're making laws. So. All right. It's approximately 50 minutes of my ranting, not rhetoric, Bob in New York. If you've made it this far, or if you've gone all the way to the end to look, subscribe. I'm going to make a decision in the next couple of weeks on pushing this out further than I'm pushing it. So you know, and I'll make a statement tomorrow and next week. From the 8th through the 16th, there'll be no shows. There'll be no shows. For reasons only known to myself. But there'll be no shows. I will put up little snippets, and I might even go as far as to do some quick little shows and to have them appear on certain days. So there might be shows, there might not be. They might not be topical shows. So they just might be, quick little 15-minute things that to fill up the time. So, because you could schedule all this stuff and have it in the can, as they say. That goes back to film days. All right, everyone, be safe. I'll try to get this up here as soon as I can. I'm finishing up my medication that I've been on. And it really, yeah, man, you read the little things on the side of the bottles, and then you print out the 400-page report on the drug, and you go, all right, I got that, I got that, I got that, I got that. I took this medication at, must have been 8:30 in the morning. I was so tired, that's one of the effects of it, that I went to bed at 9:30 in the morning, and woke up, it was almost 1 o'clock, and I was gone. So I finished up that round of chemicals, concoctions, and it's going to take a little while for me to jump back in. But from Wednesday to the following Thursday, there'll be no live show. Let me just put it that way. There'll be no live show. All right, everyone. Give to a charity if you can give to a charity. Charity does begin at home. If that doesn't fit into your genre, give to a food bank. They always need something. Help them out. Say a prayer. Prayer works, regardless of what Democrats tell you. And you never know what tomorrow brings. So live life. Don't take it for granted. Don't be foolish with it. And with that, I am going to fade to black.